I must have been either in second or in third grade. How well I remember this program, we had an assembly, and this man was talking that eventually we would be able to see a movie at home.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so mind-boggling that, you know, it just stayed with me, and it came to pass.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, the expression of when you were young, I don't know if you ever heard it, but we did quite a bit. If you don't keep quiet, I'm going to send you to the moon. Well, you never thought that would happen. He said, sure, okay, when you're ready, I'll go, you know. But look, we're there, and who knows?
We don't know what's going to happen. It's one of those things. We don't know what lies around the bend. Well, let's just bend a little bit now and talk about transportation. Speaking to all of you, most of you had a car. I don't know about you, Enos. You didn't have a car way back then, but you learned to drive, and some of you. What was the earliest means of transportation beside our feet and legs? What was your earliest? You want to tell us, Julia?
Well, it was a car. My parents always had a car, and I grew up learning how to drive. I think I was about 14, and I did well.
Without a license?
Without a license. There was
That's
nobody
right.
to enforce, you know, the law that I didn't have a license. And I'd been driving all my life. But we also not only used a car as a means of transportation, it was a horse and sleigh, and that was mostly for the winter. Remember, I lived up in Wisconsin, and we got some nice snowfalls, so you had to have some means of transportation, and that was a horse and a sleigh.
You said that it was 5 miles.
5 miles to town, yes. And 2 miles to the public school, and we walked it. Means of transportation was your feet, and you talked about miles, not blocks. 2 miles to public school, that's far for kids. But we did it. We did it and all graduated grade school and 5 miles to high school. But later on they had bus service that picked up the children. But I liked nothing. I thought we did well with what we had, and we walked. That's why maybe I'm so healthy now. I don't know.
And Alice, you did say that you talked about the streetcar. Could you tell us something about that?
Yes, well, we lived right off of Sister Avenue, and we had the streetcar, and it was 7 cents, and you had your conductor at one end, and you had the other man that took the money. One drove, one had taken cashiered, and every street that you passed, the conductor would say, Cicero Avenue, you know, Addison, you know, so people would know their stop and get off. And so we had that, and of course, Dad always had a car. So, of course, to school, we all walked. We walked to school, and it would be about a mile or so to school. But then my cousin lived next door. When I was little, he put me in a coaster wagon and take me to school. So it was fine. Our transportation was good, but that was our means, you know, streetcar and our car.
And how about the subway? Did anybody? I know that's been around a long time.
No, that
The
came,
what?
A
subway.
subway.
Subway came in about what?
Oh, that's a long
The-
time ago.
40?
Well, I'll tell you, I remember riding this subway when I was about 12 years old. Because I had to go to the eye, ear, nose doc, and they were on Franklin, and you know, and that was the only time I ever rode the subway, to tell you the truth. Now, I don't know when they started originally. I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember.
And how about the L then? If
Yeah,
you don't
the L.
remember the L,
The
that
L.
was.
We had the
Yeah.
That would take us downtown.
But that was a little later too, much
Yeah.
later.
Chicago was rated as very good for transportation. You could get anywhere from one end to another, and they often commented about Western Avenue, which rode the length of the whole city, way from one side to the other.
I remember taking the train to go to the cemetery because we lost my brother at the age of 14, and the family would all go to, you know, every now and then to visit. and that was a train, and we thought it was something wonderful. We could take the train, you know. We didn't think of it as anything else, which made it, I think it made it kind of nice because the family went to the cemetery and we didn't have that lost feeling that you usually have, you know. No, but we always had, we just had the streetcar, and then we had some very thoughtful neighbors who had a car that would give us a lift. My dad had to do that. He had to go, Harlem and Grand was the end of the car line. And we lived about Western in Grand. And he would take 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's where it would stop. And then they had a truck there to pick the men up to take them to work, because they work way beyond that, you know. So.
Does anybody remember the steam locomotives? Did they have that in Chicago, or was that just on the outskirts?
No, that I didn't have any experience with.
No,
Okay, because I could remember back east, we had the steam locomotives that took us around to get out to the boondocks, as we used to call it, and I guess you called it the same thing out here. And then it switched over to diesel and then electric. So
no.
Well, I don't think Lake Michigan was used for the boats that they have now. It was mostly for material to come in on freight trains. Where it was Navy Pier then too, but of course not the way the Navy Pier is now. And the boats would come in from New York through the
Lawrence
St. Lawrence Seaway.
Yeah.
And that was I think that was the only thing that was really happening on Lake Michigan. There were no.
Go ahead.
Boats.
I was going to say, when we were young, we used to go down to Navy Pier and get on the boat and go to St. Joe, Michigan.
Yes.
There was a
And they
cross.
would always have things there for the families, you know, to partake in. And then they would bring us back. And that was our outing for a weekend sometimes. And I think I was about 13 or 14 when we started doing
But
that.
nothing like what it is now.
Oh, no, nothing is like it is today. Nothing.
So we can say that basically the transportation has evolved from horse and wagon to cars,
Right.
automobiles, the shapes, sizes, and capabilities have changed. But in our lifetime, it was the four wheels that got us where we did want to go.
I remember when we would see a plane go by, everybody would run out and say, "There's a plane, there's a plane." That's where they got that, you know what they had on TV? The plane.
Does anybody
the plane.
remember their first plane ride? Was there any
Yes.
excitement?
Yeah, that was a prop plane.
Yeah.
We went to California, and we all went dressed up elegantly to go on the plane. And we got such good meal and everything. It was something, you know, enjoyable. Not today. Today is not the same. It's not enjoyable, and everything is, well, they're trying to cut corners, I guess that's why. But we really enjoyed going on the plane, and we went to California and came back again on that plane, and we enjoyed it. Everybody loved going on the plane.
And you were dressed up today?
Dressed up.
You go into O'Hare?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I must say, in spite of everything and the fewer things that we had in comparison to today, we had a beautiful life and a happy life. I can't ever remember much sadness in my life at all. My mom and dad were always wonderful about seeing that we all ate together. And when we went out, we all got on we just all got on the train, we called it, and the streetcar, and that was it. But I don't regret anything at all, if I can enter into that subject.
I think you summed it up really nicely.
Really,
None of
really-
us knows what the next change
Yeah.
is going to be. What unexpected opportunity is just around the corner, waiting to change all the tenor of our lives. And Kathleen Norris, a writer, has said that. We have talked about our communication, the different means, how it has changed through the years, and some of our experiences with the telephone, the newspaper, the movies, etc., and also with our transportation. We've all experienced the change, and we know that there is more to come. So with that, we embrace change and we accept it. Thank you very much.